I already have with me in the studio two panelists, the Executive Director, African Network for Environment and Economic Justice, who also served as an observer, a monitoring officer in this election, Reverend David Ogola. Many thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you, Mr. Lee.
We have with us here a constitutional lawyer, a human rights lawyer, Emmanuel Okpebholo, Esquire. Thank you for joining us on the program.
It's a pleasure being here. Good morning, Mr. Good
morning. Okay, let's quickly look at the numbers. I'm sure you will see shortly on the screen a table detailing all the local government areas and how the political parties fared in terms of the numbers and how APC fared from one local government to another. You also compare that with that of the PDP. And then, of course, you compare that with that of the Labour Party and several other parties who participated in the election. But basically, the focus is on the three leading political parties who were identified as such at the very beginning of the election. But we also saw some impacts from other political parties, the NNPP, the PRP, which was the only female governorship candidate in the race. I mean, the first in Edo State. But looking at the numbers, APC polled a total of 291,667 votes. All right, and PDP polled 247,274 votes. And Labour Party came third with 22,763 votes. Now, APC Senator Monday Okpebholo defeated Ighodalo with about 44,393 votes. And we're seeing reactions coming forth from different stakeholders, all right, with PDP rejecting results in 3 local government areas. And they've also warned that INEC has become a threat to democracy by declaring false results, all right, on the part of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Okpebholo's victory confirms people's acceptance of APC's ideals. That was contained in the press release yesterday by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, done by his special advisor on media, Bayo Onanuga. So these are just some of the feedback so far from the Edo State Governorship election. Reverend Ogola, the process leading to an outcome is as important as the outcome. But let's look at the outcome with the numbers that have been brought forward by INEC in this election and the reactions that are trailing it. What are your observations? What are the major takeouts?
First, I want to congratulate the governor-elect, Okpebholo, and I also want to thank His Excellency, the Governor of Edo State, Obaseki, for his press conference where he has called for calm. I also want to thank the INEC authority, thank the security authority. So far, so good. There are issues, but just making specific reference to the question you have just asked, at least we have a new brand governor-elect in Edo State. That, for me, is something that we must thank God for. But are there lessons from it? There are lessons. There are lessons for everybody. And that brings me to the first statement from the President, Tinubu. And the key word I took from Tinubu's statement on the governorship election outcome in Edo State is that Governor Okpebholo, the governor-elect, should be humble in his victory. That is a key word. He should be humble. If you go to the town, you will see the need why the APC and governor-elect should be humble about the victory. the signs are out there from Edo North, Edo South, Edo Central. If you look the face of the entire people, you see that there is some silence across the state. And that for me is something that the governor election will reflect on. It's something he should take very seriously in moving forward.
All right, Mr. Okpebholo, what are your opening lines on this conversation, with the outcome?
Well, the election has come and gone. And but on the 12th of November 2024, Edo State will be witnessing a handover from the incumbent government to another government. And we are also witnessing the baton to be changed from one political party, the People's Democratic Party, to the All Progressive Congress. And to my mind, I think it's something that every one of us should reflect on, looking at the lessons to be learned from what just happened. Because the process itself, in my own judgment, is that it was a fair one, the process. And we saw it going towards a direction. But we are in a climb where the spirit of sportsmanship is not embraced, because we have this always, if it is not me, it shouldn't be another person. So for that, I think that, one, we should all know that power is transient, and it is God Almighty that gives power, whether we believe it or not. Two, we should also know that we should make institutions to be more powerful and not to have powerful individuals. Three is that the people are so important as those who govern them, because by virtue of the provision of Section 14, subsection 2, paragraph A of the extant constitution, says sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria. Whether we like it, whether there was apathy, voter apathy or not, the people have spoken, and that remains the position. So there are lessons to be learned, both from those who are celebrating just now as victors and those who felt that something is wrong somewhere and that are grieved. What the incoming governor should do is to stretch a hand of friendship to those, so that at the end of the day is to see how Edo State moves forward, onward, and upward.
Okay. Let's look at some of the reactions that have trailed this outcome. In the collation of results, we saw the Director General of the PDP alleging that their party agents were denied access to the State Coalition Center. In fact, yesterday, while the collation of results was on, the party's representative at the Coalition Center, who incidentally is also the Chief of Staff, had reasons to object to, some of the discrepancies in the results that were being announced by INEC. And we also saw this morning some of the papers that some CSOs are also questioning the process of the exercise on the part of INEC. What does that mean in this election?
Well, definitely. We also find very strongly some consensus around some irregularity around the process in the election, which is not unique to Edo State. It's peculiar to most elections in this part of the world, and even in advanced democracy. And all those irregularities need to be documented for two reasons. One, for those who have strong case to proceed to court, that's why I'm also happy about the press briefing by the executive governor of Edo State. Proceed to the court. Then the second one is for the institutions that are saddled with the responsibility of conducting election to also take lessons from the whole process to improve in future election. Because there's not going to be any election in Nigeria that you are going to organize that people will not express concern or irregularity. It has an extent, but like I've said, there are lessons from it. What are those lessons? For example, a situation where the rain fell and the way INEC responded definitely show clearly that they were not prepared for that. There was no mitigating plan that if rain fall, what happened? And that's why you see some area, election did not happen until around 3 o'clock. And that disenfranchised quite a number of people. Then two, you have seen a situation, for example, collation of the results. It took, for example, Okpebholo more than 3 to 6 hours. We were there at the collation center yesterday before he finally arrived. And so that was also an issue that will be taken on board. What do you take all this issue to mean? It means that there are opportunity to improve in subsequent election. And then the amount of investment in security. Take, for instance, election was happening simultaneously across the 36 states. Will Nigerian government be able to provide this kind of security? Those are lessons we must also integrate. And these lessons we are talking about, it's not just for it's for the country, both those who won the election and those who did not win. Like I have always said to politicians is that you win today, you'll be celebrating. Don't forget that tomorrow you might lose. And if somebody, today, the 8 years of Governor Obaseki is coming to an end. Yeah. It's like yesterday. And I'm sure that when Obaseki won his election as Edo State governor, there are those who were aggrieved. Some of them are celebrating today. Obaseki, perhaps, and his friends are lamenting today. And we that are civil society, we are just there. Like they say, Oba no, they go transfer. We will always remind them. But when they win, they don't see anything bad in lesson learning. They see something bad in lesson learning. But what do we take forward is to improve the institutions that are responsible for election. The security. Like I said, the amount of security that Edo State enjoyed during this election period. It's not possible. It's because Edo State governorship election is off cycle. Okay. That's why we had the opportunity to have those security. Otherwise, if there was no security, you and I know that the level of violence you would have seen would have not made us lead to where we are today. And so my appeal is that the government should take into consideration, provide an enabling environment to reduce tension. And the only way you reduce tension is to create an enabling environment that people will have trust in the system. Because what you are saying is that the level of trust has reduced. And then another key lesson is the declining interest. The total amount of vote realized by all the parties, I'm not sure it's up to 1 million. And the total number of electorates that we expect was over 2.something million. So what is responsible for this? Why do you think people are no longer showing interest in coming out to cast their vote? Okay. One, security problem. Two, lack of trust in the system. And that's why you see advanced countries like the OECD country, they invest in carrying out what they call trust survey. They want to see the level how citizens have trust in the system. If you see the level of trust that the citizens have on the system in Nigeria is declining, is falling. And this is not good for democracy. And for democracy to survive, you need the trust of the people. You need to engage the people. And once the people found that the system cannot be trusted, then they will stay back. And that's why I think that there are lessons to take. Both those who won and those who lost, there are lessons to take. Because we need to build consensus to drive reform that will strengthen democracy.
Fantastic. You want to comment on that?
Yes. When you look at the elections, we've had series of elections between 1999 and the one that was concluded yesterday in Edo State. And the line of reasoning before that of Edo State was that INEC should improve. And to my mind, INEC indeed improved with respect to the beavers. But other aspect of it, wherein INEC would have also considered option B or option C, if in case nature cries out, if in case there is an urgent situation, what do we do? I didn't see that. And that was why, like in my polling unit, I think we started voting after 10. And people were there. I was there before 7 a.m. People sat down waiting for them to come. At a point, some were even leaving. So it goes to tell that in this part of the world, we don't really look at situations, particularly when an event takes place. We don't have lessons to learn from the event. Okay. We only look at the event, forget the event, and forget the lessons. But my admonition is, you forget the event, but learn a lesson from the event. Exactly. And when you do that, that goes to tell that you really have the mind for an improvement. And that will also build the people's trust on that institution. Exactly. Let me tell you, Mr. Sonidu, Nigerians are dead tired with respect to elections in Nigeria. And that is the reflection we saw yesterday, day before yesterday and yesterday, in Edo State. Edo State has about 2.5 million voters. But see the number. Yes. So it worries me that people are no longer interested. And that was why the presidential election of 2023, INEC made Nigerians to understand that beavers will do the magic. Your votes will count. But at the close of the day, the people now saw that even beavers was worse than what we had before. That there were a lot of excuses wherein INEC told us that there were technical glitches. And you see, again, when an institution makes rules and regulations for itself, to my mind, I argue that that rules become a binding law on that institution. But in this part of the world, we've come to see that people argued, even lawyers argued that the rules and regulations were mere discretion, that INEC had discretion over them. But just now, the one we saw day before yesterday in Edo State, though some are arguing that the result on the IRF is different from what was declared, but to my mind, what I saw, it wasn't different. And I think there is need for an improvement.
Okay, now you talked about the fact that when an institution makes a rule, that rule should be binding. Yes. But in Nigeria, we see the institution being at a discretion whether to obey its own rules or not. Take, for example, the issue of the levels of collation. We saw some level of disregard for that. I mean, that came out strongly even on the floor of the State Electoral Collation Center. What's your reaction to that?
Like myself, I faulted INEC with respect to that. Because when you make rules, first, you that made that rules, you must observe and obey that rules. And when you do not observe the rules, you do not obey the rules, who else do you want to obey it or to observe it? So you lead by example. And that is the reason you see the People's Democratic Party is now aggrieved. It's not saying that, look, the rules, the principles were not judiciously followed. And I think that is an excuse to go upstairs. Maybe they would take the step or take the option of going to court. And like I always also say, is that the phrase go to court has come to stay in Nigeria, particularly with elections. Whether anybody likes it or not, it has come to stay. So, and what the court now does, and it is unfortunate that the court is now made to be the determinant of election and not the people. Yes. So we'll continue to have excuses, we'll continue to have wailing. Okay. So it's unfortunate.
All right, Reverend Golo, give me your perspectives on these rules change. Like they say in football, you change the position of the goalpost in the middle of the game. That came out clearly in this election.
Yes, again, you see, when you now see that phrase from politician, go to the court, that itself again brings some question mark around the judiciary, because the judiciary is supposed to be the hope of the
common man.
But unfortunately, because politician knows that traditionally the responsibility to prove that the election was rigged falls with you that has come to the court, that have approached the court. And it's always very cumbersome because of the issue of access to information. Mm-hmm. But you see, politicians, they are all the same. Not all, but at least majority of them are the same. How do you get reform carried out? How do you get things done properly? It is from lesson you learn from your mistakes. Do you know that right from the time of Obaseki becoming a governor of Edo State, there are politicians that were aggrieved who felt that he didn't win that election or he won that election. But those politicians, in a nice climb, what do? That's why you see civil society partner with opposition party to campaign for a policy that will strengthen the institution. But politicians feel that when they win, the need for a civil society, the need for a strong institution, it doesn't matter. But you don't know. Today you win, tomorrow you will not win. Because the variables for winning election in Nigeria are sometimes distant and remote. And sometimes you don't control the two. Sometimes you control the two. And the most important one, sometimes when you become a victim, you will not have allies to push for a reform. And that's why we are appealing to politicians that even if you win today, open rooms for reform. Okay. And what are those reform? Why is it very difficult to go to court to prove a case of malpractice in the election? It's issue of access to information. Access to information. When you ask governors, for example, we have been calling for access to information law in Edo State. It has not been passed into law. I don't think my friend Obaseki will want it to be passed into law. But today, as they are now victim of malpractice, so-called malpractice, I think he would like to see freedom of information law be put in proper practice at even in the federal level. So you can see that today you can win, tomorrow you will not win. And that's why I'm appealing to those who have also lost this election now. This is an opportunity for them to join force with civil society to put in place the right institutions. When you put in place the right institution, it will protect you in the long run. You can be a governor today, you cannot be a governor tomorrow. In the less than 2 or 3 months now, Obaseki will not be the governor of Edo State. And I'm sure that he would want to see a system where citizens can have access to information. But when he was there, did he put in those things in place? Was there freedom of information law in place? Were there implementation of open government partnership in place? All these we have been campaigning for the past 8 years. This government refused to allow those institutions to work. Freedom of information law is not working in Edo State. Open government partnership is not working in Edo State. So it becomes pretty difficult for citizens to have access to information because it was convenient for them. And today they are crying. And that's why my appeal to PDP is that let's join forces together. Let's work with this current government that is coming. Because today you might win, tomorrow you might not win. But if the institutions are right, like I made an example recently, that in a climate like the United States, where some level of institutions are working, it doesn't matter whether you are in opposition. And that's why Elon Musk, the owner of Twitter, now X, is a major contractor in the US government. But he's campaigning against the Democrat. And the Democrats are currently running the US government. But in Nigeria here, can you oppose Obaseki and be a major contractor in Edo State? Even if you look, all those who are contractors in government, 98% of them are friends of the governor. You cannot be, when I say friends...
How do you substantiate this?
Oh my God.
No, you should be able to substantiate this.
When I say substantiate, when I say this, it's not just Edo State.
Yeah.
It's across Nigeria. You can never oppose government and find a foot in government. Look at Dangote, for example. Where is Dangote crying today? Because in America, the private sector comes together to support civil society. That's why you have Ford Foundation, you have MacArthur Foundation. They provide resources for civil society to campaign so that when they are a good institution, it protects everybody. Don't you see that Dangote is also crying now? Because the institutions are weak. If the institutions are right, why will NNPC, that government said in the Petroleum Industry Act, is a commercial entity now, be the regulator. It's in a climb when there is no sense of direction. But the private sector people, they don't know that you must invest to support credible civil society, so that when they campaign, when we put the right institutions in place, for instance, if you feel aggrieved in an election, you need evidence. You are a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. You need evidence to go and prove your case in the law court. But in a climate where access to information is pretty difficult, because that's what we are saying, and there is no better time for us to remind politicians that today you win. And that brings me to the question that our governor-elect, please, there's no doubt, you have to thank those who work with you. You have to thank your party members. You have to thank all those who have campaigned with you. But be reminded that you have a responsibility to carry out.
Let's take a look at the statement credited to Mr. President during the congratulatory message sent to the governor-elect of Edo State, Senator Monday Okpebholo, yesterday. I just want to take a line from there. Okpebholo's victory confirms people's acceptance of APC's ideals. Credit, Tinubu. Do you subscribe to this statement, Barrister Okpebholo?
That statement is an unfortunate statement, to my mind. The president and the members of his kitchen cabinet have come to realize that people who are propagandists, they are specialists in giving people a thought that is actually not what even themselves believe in. Okay. The unfortunate part of it is that Edo State election and the eventual emergence or declaration of Senator Monday Okpebholo as the governor-elect is not the desire or to show the love or trust or belief that Nigerians have on the All Progressive Congress. That is not correct. The truth is that something went wrong somewhere. There was a disconnection in the rule, in the reign of the incumbent and the people of Edo State. That's why just now if you go to town, you cannot see jubilation. You cannot see celebration, save for those who felt that they are nexus to those who have nexus to the party that has just won the election. They may be, I'm very harmful of them that are celebrating it, because the hardship that this party, the All Progressive Congress, at the federal level, are visited on the people of Nigeria is not something that anybody that is reasonable, even a madman, wouldn't want to accept that the All Progressive Congress is a party that is doing well, a party that has come to make policies that really affect the people of Nigeria. Yes, affected them negatively, because the policies we have seen that are made today by the All Progressive Congress are anti-people's policies. And that's why every nook and cranny of Nigeria you go, you hear the wailing. Today, we don't, though some persons have argued that we have two classes of Nigerians, the rich and the poor. But I stand to say this morning that even the rich are those who are just in power. Those who are not in power are not even rich just now. There is wailing everywhere, there is crying every day. So it is an unfortunate statement. And what has befell the incumbent government in Edo State, God willing, keeping us 2027, if things go the way they are going just now, it will also befall the All Progressive Congress at the federal level. So it's not something that they will come and say, oh, Nigerians have accepted the All Progressive Congress, the people of Edo State have accepted the All Progressive Congress. That may not be correct. But I think if the president and members of his kitchen cabinet, who are not just making statements the way they like, feeling that, oh, they are victorious, should also sit down and begin to learn lessons from what has happened. That if the people's votes, if the people's mind are allowed to play out in any elections in Nigeria, they too could be in this position tomorrow. So it is, to my mind, it is really an unfortunate one. Okay. And I do not subscribe to the fact that they have done well.
Reverend, this statement by Mr. President that is an acceptance, the outcome of the elections and acceptance of the APC's ideals. Does that resonate with you?
You don't expect less from the president. He's a member of APC. He is like the face of APC. And what do you expect from him?
Is the statement reflective of reality? That's the question.
Except you don't live in Nigeria. If you live in Nigeria, you will know that there is hardship in the country. Just a few weeks ago or a month ago, there was nationwide protest. And as we speak now, come October, there are people also willing to be on the street and to again reaffirm that there is hardship in the city. And the ongoing kind of confusion between NNPC and Dangote refinery is again a reflection of a country where there seems to be a confusion. Because what are we saying? The 4 refineries in the countries are not working for God's sake. And the president is the minister of petroleum ministry. And the 4 refineries are not working. Just one private refinery that has been able to successfully to produce, NNPC said they want to be the one to distribute. Can you imagine? You have your own 3 or 4 refinery. You couldn't make function. And then the president said, we are doing well. So, well, you know, if darkness can be called light, but definitely, we are all there watching. Like I say, there's an opportunity again that will certainly come. Today you could celebrate, but tomorrow you might not celebrate. And that's why I want to appeal to the opposition party. I want to appeal to the private sector in this country that they should not leave the fight for civil society alone. I want to tell you again. You know Ekoromadu, the former deputy Senate president of Nigeria. He once referred to me and my men, we were on protest in the National Assembly. He said we are charlatans. That's how he referred to us. Because we are protesting for what? That the oil sector should be reformed and that the petroleum industry bill should be passed into law. But today, where is he? Where is he? Where is he today? Where is he today? Where is he today? So if you are in power today, tomorrow you will not be in power. But what you will be remembered for is your legacy. And that brings me to the question of the president's statement. The president can tell Nigerians that APC is doing well. He can tell Nigerians that his government is doing well in the face of the obvious that we are seeing in the country today. But opportunity will come. At least, Edo people, we have seen a new government that has been elected today, which is Okpebholo. And I also expect, like my barrister have rightly noted, there are lessons to take from all this. If Okpebholo, there are people who have helped him to campaign to win the election, but he should also listen to the people. He should listen to the tune of the town. He should send his people, his confidants. Because the people that help you to win election, they are not necessarily the people that will help you to deliver. Because to deliver is a different entire work. It's a different entire calculation. And it requires capacity, it requires understanding, and it requires understanding one's mission. So what is Okpebholo's mission of becoming Edo State governor? He has to deliver. For instance, there are things that are already working in Edo State. You can't take it away from the Governor Obaseki's regime. For example, this between me and you, for the 8 years of Governor Obaseki in Edo State, you can see that to a large extent, crime reduced. The vigilante was a very good institution that Okpebholo should strengthen and sustain. You cannot take it away in terms of crime reduction. Then, reform of the civil service. You cannot take that away from Obaseki. The Edo State civil service has been reformed. Obaseki cannot do, Okpebholo cannot do otherwise. He has to sustain that momentum. Then, the payment of civil servant salary. He cannot come now and become a governor of Edo State and say there is debt. That's why we cannot pay salary again. Edo people will not take it from him. So there are fundamental things that Governor Obaseki have already done in Edo State. It's like when Obaseki came, he consolidated in the banding of bike in Edo State. Obaseki did not come and say because he's a new governor, back, you should come back. Because the reason why bike was banned in Edo State, there's a consensus. For example, the revenue, internal generated revenue of Edo State has increased dramatically. More income now coming to Edo State purse. Okpebholo cannot come and now say, no, I'm now APC governor. I have to distribute this responsibility to my people. And then Edo State that normally gets 6 billion in internal generated revenue, it will not decline to 3 billion. Edo people will not accept it. So there are fundamental things Okpebholo have no option about. It has no option about it. There are success stories, and there are lessons to learn from those that didn't work. And then engaging the people, avoiding capital flight. Capital flight. The monthly allocation that comes to Edo State must be spent in Edo State to generate local economy. Edo people are selling plank. Edo people are selling iron. Edo people are farmers. Use them. If they don't do it very well, they can improve. China did not start one day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend David Ogolo. If you just joined us, it's still Edo Decides live studio of Independent Television. In a moment, we'll be going to Abuja Network Studio. But just to look at the numbers one more time from the outcome of Saturday's Edo State Governorship election, in which Senator Monday Okpebholo was declared the governor-elect, having polled a total vote of 291,667 votes, beating Aswa Ighodalo of the PDP with a vote of 247,274 votes. And of course, Labour Party's Akpata came second with 22,763 votes. You have all of that on the screen. And we'll just run through that again so you can appreciate how each of the major political parties fared in the 18 local government areas of Edo State. Beginning with Igweben, APC lost that to the PDP. PDP had 8,470 votes. And then APC got 5,907 votes. And Labour Party got 454 votes. In Esan West, APC got 12,952 votes, and PDP got 11,004 votes. Labour Party got 342 votes. For time's sake, let me just restrict myself to the two leading political parties in this election. Owan West went the way of APC with 12,277 votes, and PDP polled 11,284 votes. In Hunde, APC polled 8,776 votes, and PDP polled 9,339 votes. And we'll move on again. In Ovia Northeast, we have this very interesting result where APC polled 15,223 votes, and PDP polled 15,311 votes. That was really, really close. And in Eastern Southeast, APC 8,594 votes, and PDP 14,199 votes. In Ego, APC 16,750 votes, PDP 14,638 votes. In Akoko Edo, PDP got 15,865 votes. APC got 34,837. In Eastern Central, which of course is the home local government of the APC candidate, they polled 10,990 votes. PDP got 8,618 votes. In Eastern Northeast, APC got 10,648. PDP got 12,522. In Ovia Southwest, it was APC 10,150 and PDP 10,260. Another close shave there. In Orion, APC 15,039, PDP 14,614. In Owan East, 19,380, PDP 14,189. In Esako East, 20,167, PDP 9,689. In Esako Central, 11,906, PDP 8,455. In Esako West, 32,107 votes for APC, PDP 17,489 votes. In Okpebholo, APC 16,558 votes and PDP 26,382 votes. In Oredo, APC 30,780 votes, PDP 24,936 votes. And if you look at the total votes cast by the APC, it brings us to 291,667 votes. And for the PDP, 247,274 votes. This is just an insight into how the political parties fared in Saturday's election. In terms of the percentage of the votes cast and how the political parties fared, if you look at Guardian of today, it gave us a clear insight into how the statistics look like. The party that emerged winner, talking about APC and its candidate, Senator Monday Okpebholo, got a total of 52% of the total votes cast. And then PDP that came second got 44% of the total votes cast. And Labour Party got 4% of the total votes cast. Interesting statistics there for you on this analysis. Reverend, you want to comment on these results?
Yes. First, when you look the picture of this result, it tells you that there are two major political parties in the Edo election, which is PDP and APC. And the Labour Party performed very poorly. And one of the reasons why it performed poorly, and if you put all the other political parties all together, they couldn't even get up to 10%. And what it shows clearly is that collective action is very important. When you dissipate your energy, everybody wants to be a leader. And then what has happened in the third party, Labour Party, is that you cannot just jump from wherever you are and deceive the people and think the people will accept you. Labour Party is a progressive party. It's a party of the workers. And if you look at the candidate, Akpata is not a Labour man. Akpata took an advantage that Obi became popular, jump into Labour Party, and think Edo will just accept him. And so they have taught him a lesson. So the lesson is that you cannot come from nowhere and just jump into a political party and overnight people will accept you. So I'm sure that he has learned, and then he will take that on board in future election. Then for the two major political parties, you have also seen that they also did not reach out to other political parties. And because they didn't reach out to other political parties, they went on their own. For instance, if PDP, for example, did some kind of alliance building, if you just added the Labour Party's vote and NPP vote, and maybe do some little reach out, I'm sure that they would have defeated APC. We are basing everything on the statistics that is available.
Yeah.
Whether it is not true or not, that's another story entirely. As a matter of fact, it is the court that will adjudicate on that.
Will settle this fight.
This ITV parliament is to do analysis. my barrister, is it not true? It's beyond David Ogolo. At this point in time, I will only be watching what happens in the court.
Yes.
But for now, just playing with the figures we have seen, and then it shows clearly. Also, the data also show that putting all the vote together is not up to 600 or 700, which is less than 70 or 80% of the total voters who registered in Edo State. What it also shows that People are complaining government is not performing. People are complaining that government is not doing anything. So people just talk, they don't act. And when you don't talk, you don't act, what happens? You remain where you are. If Edo wants to talk and they want politicians to listen to them, what happened? They should learn lessons from these statistics we are seeing. If only just common less than 600 people, Edo State population is up to about 4 million. So only less than 700 people are the one now deciding who becomes governor. And because once the governor emerges, the monthly allocation that comes from Abuja is the one who now decides how he spends it. So that's why you should take interest who becomes your governor. You take interest which political party runs the government and how they will run the government. So, and the implication of this election is that PDP, APC will not bother to consult PDP because in the election, they won with their party. But in abroad, in a democratic society where they are building alliance, you reach out because alliance is majorly, because other political parties will win their various units.
States and stuff
and so for you to build a government, you will need an alliance. So, but I want to appeal that the sense of what I'm seeing from that data is that one single party did not win the election. I can tell you. So it means that PDP is a force in Edo State. And so if Okpebholo wants to run the government, his policy must reflect that 44%. 44% of that 44% shows clearly that PDP is a party to be reckoned with in Edo State. So in carrying out policy, the policy should not just reflect APC alone. It should also know that PDP is a major force, and which means that in carrying out a policy that will impact on Edo must reflect those 40%. 40-something%. Yeah. And that's what the data is showing, that not one single party runs Edo State. And that if a governor wants to be popular, you have to cut across beyond your political line.
Okay.
So, and when you do that, in terms of who are you appointing as commissioner, first of all, consider merit. Competence is very important. That's why I said those who help you to win election, they are different. But those who will make you to deliver on your mission is competence. And when competence comes, you must make sure that you pick talent from across Edo State. Don't restrict your talent picking from your party, because the other party, they are also a major force. That's what we are seeing in the statistics. But most cases, what are the lessons? What are the things that making people to get angry? Is because when you become a governor, you don't reflect, you don't take your decision based on these statistics. If Okpebholo do not base his policies and decision once he assumed the governor of Edo State, I can assure you that it will not be up to 4 years. He will see that his popularity will be going down. Because first, PDP, those who are under PDP, they'll begin to complain. Because they are major force. Don't take them out. And they'll begin to build forces. But that's why I'm also appealing to the opposition party. If you don't win today, don't think it's an end of the year. 4 years is already out there here now. Let's begin to build force together. Let's begin to raise awareness so that we can even raise the number of people that will go and register. We should be able to take the number to 1 million. And so that we can decide who becomes governor. And then the governors will not be conscious in their decision, reflecting collective action.
All right. We're seeing very clearly that there's a great disparity between the number of registered voters and the number of people that actually came out to vote. This has been a pattern over the years. But would you say that the 2023 election outcome may have had sort of a negative impact on this election in terms of voter apathy?
Yes. The 2023 presidential election in particular, and also the off-cycle election in the states of Imo, Bayelsa, and Kogi also contributed because Nigerians no longer trust the system. In my introduction, I did say that Nigerians are dead tired with the way government is run, and also the anti-people's policies being implemented by those in government or by the government, as the case may be. So you see, there is this cold feet by the people. Say, okay, it doesn't concern me, as long as I will get what I can eat. Today in Nigeria, people can barely sustain. So there is this struggle. And when you look at this struggle, is caused by government. Though they will want to argue that they are not the reason, this and that, but we all know that everything goes around the government. So that is why also this election has taught, should be a lesson to all these the politicians, and also to some of us, that look, being a popular candidate does not give you the winning spring. Also, that the emergence of the All Progressive Congress as the incoming party to take the aims of affairs in Edo State does not show that the like or the appreciation by Edo people on that political party. So I think there is so much for the party. I think there is so much for the man who is coming to do, so that to either convince the people or confuse the people that really this party meant well or means well for the people of Nigeria in general and the people of Edo State in particular. But I will not be surprised if I see otherwise, because already you can see the silence in the town telling you that, look, there is problem, there is something wrong with the entire system. So I do hope that every Tom, Dick, and Harry would also learn a lesson, just as we have said from the beginning, from all of this that has transpired, then to also make contribution. And those in power should not see some of us that later will come up and begin to criticize the government and the policies of the government as enemies of the state. They shouldn't do that. Instead, whatever any person comes out to say, they should look at it properly and learn a lesson from it and see what they can take in so that they can adjust themselves and make life better for the people of Edo State. If they do that, glory be to God. Okay. If they also choose to go other way, they should know that at the end of these 4 years, the people are waiting for them.
Okay, Reverend Golo, just before we take a break and join our Abuja Network studio, not much of celebration has greeted this declaration. Should that be of concern in any way?
You know, there are lessons from it. There's no widespread enthusiasm in town. It will be deceiving ourselves if we think that the people are happy. There is this things that is in the mouth of everybody, the federal mind. They feel that the federal mind played a major role in the outcome of Edo State election. And even if you also listen to members of the ruling party, the member of the party that won, they also go about singing this federal mind. And most cases, the federal mind cannot be with you permanently forever. It moves. It moves. Like I was seeing the photograph of Abacha and Babangida when they were running Nigeria. And today, one of the capture of that photograph was saying one of them is gone, and then one is still alive, but he doesn't know what happens in Nigeria again. Power is transient, no matter how you want to see it. Today now, like my friend Ruben Abati, he wrote an article after the tenure of Jonathan came to an end, that my phone no longer ring. I recommend this to the governor-elect, Okpebholo, to please pick up, and his aides should make sure that they look for that article written by Ruben Abati, the former Guardian editor, who wrote an article because he was the media spokesperson to Jonathan. After they left power, he said his phone no longer ring. And what is the obvious lessons from it? You know, when you win, today in Okpebholo, you will not hear anybody talking about all those negative things again. They will not.
Okay.
And so the reason and the lesson from it is that when you get power, be humble about it, like the president said.
Okay.
Be humble about it. Okay. And once you are humble about it, there's a way you go about it. Okay. And then choose the right people to deliver on your mission.